All right.
Let's
and
go.
We are back. We are live. Oh, it's been a couple of weeks, my friend, but we are back for UFC Perth this weekend. I'm a bit flat I'm not going. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
That's
Keen
good.
to jump into this card with you. Blocked in a lot of bets last week, so I'm keen to see where we line up.
Yeah, 100%. We've had we took 1 week off, just timings and movements and shit didn't come together, and then obviously we had a week off of the sport. So we've had 2 weeks off, raring to get back into it. This one in our homeland. Usually would go to these sort of ones, but I don't know. This one just didn't really tickle my fancy on paper, so gave it a miss. It's probably the first one I've missed in Australia in like a couple of years, so it'll probably be a banger, no doubt. But I'm pretty keen to get into this card. How are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling anyway?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about this card. Like you said, I don't think it's name value enough to take a flight to Perth,
Yeah,
but I'm still excited for it. Like the more I looked at it.
yeah. I wonder if people know that Perth is like a 4+ hour flight away from the mainstay of Australia generally.
Nah, I can tell you, they all just think it's like one little island.
Yeah, you can drive there or something.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like when I was in America talking to them about travel and stuff, they're literally guys that have to travel like 8 hours just to get like 8 states away. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't blame them. But
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. All right, bottom to top as always. Not exactly sure what order ESPN MMA will have it in, but we'll go off that order just to be safe. Let me just refresh my odds page as well, so we're good to go. All right, first fight on the card is women's strawweight. Apparently, we've got Loma Luke Boonmi 10-3 taking on Alexia Tainara 12-1. Prices we have a Alexia Tainara -230, the comeback on Loma +195. I'll kick us off with this one. I actually think this is a pretty fun matchup, to be honest, for 2 strawweight women. Like, they both kind of bring it in similar but different ways. Like, on the feet, I feel like this is going to be really entertaining for as long as it is on the feet. Loma, obviously, a very, pretty credentialed Muay Thai female striker, mainly relies on her kicks. I don't think she has a lot of power really in anything, but her kicks are her number one weapon on the feet for sure. She is small for the division, I would say, and I think that's potentially an issue against a physical beast like Tainara, who kind of just throws caution to the wind and pushes forward and just throws crazy shit. But I also think that could open her up to a better striker like Loma. I guess my main issue with wanting to pick Loma is that she's shown such a weakness in her ground game, and Alexia does have a pretty good grappling and wrestling game. I don't think her wrestling is like really pure and like a massive threat, but I do think she will be able to get the fight down just by being the bigger girl and the more physical girl. And I think when she does get the fight to the ground, she will be pretty dangerous down there. So I think if it spends time on the feet, the underdog price on Loma probably looks pretty good. I just kind of don't think it does, and I think Tainara might just take this down and cause her some pretty big issues on the ground. So yeah, I think it's a close fight on the feet, but I think for the main part, Tainara probably takes it down and subs her.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Like I do really like Loma Lukbumi. She came into the sport with a very high level Muay Thai game and has since she's actually been beating girls through her grappling. As of recent, like she took down Sam Hughes and Denise Gomes 4 times in those fights. Took down Elise Reed 2 times, and these aren't the easiest girls to take down and hold there, especially if you're like a 5'1" Muay Thai girl that's learning grappling on the fly. She's 7-2 in the UFC, losing just to Loopy and Angela Hill. Like clearly improved after those losses. And while I do think plus 190, plus 200 is a bit wide, she has to fight a perfect fight here, and I just can't bet against Alexa Thainara. I do think she is the real deal in the division and one of the more promising female prospects to come out of contender series. But I also can't really get to a bet on her too, as this is her sophomore fight in the UFC, coming off a pretty easy Molly McCann win, and arguably she's up against the hardest girl she's faced. Like, yeah, Thainara is good everywhere, has very high level Muay Thai of her own. She's high output, throws with a lot of speed and power, and on top of that, like has pretty dominant grappling if she can get on top. And ultimately, that's what's keeping me away from a Loma bet. Like the physicality will be too much, and I do feel if Thainara gets her on the ground, she can even secure a finish. Um, I think Loma will look good for a portion of this fight, like at striking range. Like Loma's speed should see her rack up numbers on a significant strike count. I don't think she held too much power, but like you said, she's the outside. And Thainara will struggle, like trying to track it down, land cleanly on the smaller, faster, and more agile opponent. As well as just being met with fast kicks down the middle that can stop her if she steps into range. But eventually, I do see Thainara's physicality and power like, being too much. So I favour her in clinch battles, grappling exchanges, and just letting her impact the fight goes. I think she'll win this 29-28. I think it's over 2.5 rounds. I might even look at a Loma split decision line. But yeah, I think Thainara is picked.
Yeah, nice. Your mic's just sort of not picking up, like it's just sort of not fully amplified. So I don't know if it needs to just be tweaked or something. But oh, now it's got that sound back again. Go again. Nah, it's gone. Yeah, your audio's gone. Yeah, it's a good fight. I'm pretty keen for this one. I think Tainara is pretty vulnerable in spots. Like she just leaves herself so open on the feet the way she overextends. I think someone will,
For sure.
clean her up one day. But I'm just not sure if it's Loma at this point. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Tainara's aside, but minus 210's pretty fucking wide. So I'd be happy to pass on that one.
Definitely. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sweet.
Yeah, it doesn't still don't like it. It's legible, but it doesn't sound like your normal one. That's all.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah, it's all good. What do we got here? K Garrison. I think Tainara gets to minus 280 range after Wayne. Will happily take a small bite of Loma at plus 225. Will live with the small loss early on in the card. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Don't hate that play at all. Makes complete sense to my mind as well. All right, up the card. 2 heavyweight debuts for both these gentlemen. We got Brando Perisic, 4-1, fighting out of City Kickboxing in New Zealand, but I believe has Australian heritage. Taking on Alicia Ellison, 5-1. 2 big boys. What do you think about this one, Ryan?
yeah. This was originally booked for our contender series before the UFC just said, fuck it, let's just give them both contracts, move them to UFC Perth, add some juice to the card. Yeah, they do have similar like records and sort of similar styles. Like they're both some of the more explosive and athletic heavyweights who look to dart in with something big. to either force their opponents to cover up and unload or drop them to the ground and follow them there. They both have pretty good finishing instincts. If opponents cover up, they just throw non-stop strikes, and they do a good job with their ground and pound. And if they're just exchanging on the feet, it might just come down to who lands first. And like in terms of raw power and speed, maybe I'd give the edge to Ellison. Like, he has shown more ability to drop or knock out guys with one shot. But I just think Perisic is better all round. And on top of that, he has the heavy grappling edge. Like, if he ends up on top at any point, I think he gets Ellison out of there. Meanwhile, if Ellison ends up on top, I think Perisic is educated enough to grab a hold of him, maybe even reverse. But on top of that, Perisic can also get a knockout on the feet as well, as Ellison carries his hands low, a little low at times. So yeah, I think Perisic in the distance could be a nice play. I wouldn't straight up play his money line with anything, but yeah, Perisic is my pick.
Yeah, I'm on the same side for this one. I'm kind of confused by the signing on both parts. Like, neither guys. I think Perisic probably fits the division better currently at the moment. Ellison kind of doesn't seem to have any traits that you immediately look at and go, all right, this guy, can build upon this. Whereas Perisic kind of reminds me of like a slightly quicker and maybe a touch less physical sort of Martin Budai. In that he likes to push forward, mix in cage clinch and wrestling pressure. I think he's got more finishing instinct is the main difference between him and Budai. I think Perisic will fit in decently in the heavyweight division. I definitely think he'll fit in better than Ellison. Ellison maybe has more speed, but I think Brando's just not going to let him move forward. I think Brando's going to just go, put the head down, move forward, and that could potentially lead him to get hurt, but I kind of think it just gets Ellison to back up against the cage. He either shoots in or lands a big shot against the cage and takes the fight to the ground, or, lands several shots, swarms him and gets him out of there. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Perisic is the side. It's pretty daunting to want to play like a minus 230, did I say?
Yeah.
225 in his debut, but Ellison doesn't look great, isn't proven as well, has to travel, well over 24 hours, and gets a pretty bad stylistic matchup. So, yeah, I think Perisic probably finishes in round 1, round 2.
Yeah, same page.
Love that. All right, up the card 2. Women's bantamweight, Michelle Montague, 6-0, taking on Luana Carolina, 11-4. Again, we have another UFC debut here with Michelle Montague fighting out of New Zealand as well. Has some decent level of experience with PFL and Bellator history. Prices, we have a Michelle Montague minus 225, a Luana Carolina plus 190. I like Michelle Montague. I think she will fit in pretty well. She looks pretty good to me. Like, obviously has this grappling skill set that's carried her to all her victories so far. 6-0, 6 by rear naked choke. So says to me that she's very, very good on the back. She also has a pretty extensive amateur history, which is always a big tick when you see that. So the 6-0 isn't the worst to look at with that in mind. Luana Carolina been on the receiving end of some pretty rough finishes in the UFC. That brutal knee bar to Ariane Lipski, the spinning back elbow to Molly McCann come to mind. She has had some bad losses in the UFC for sure. But she seems to be lifting in her last few fights. She's on a 3-fight win streak. She doesn't present anything that I think is really amazing for the division. Like, she's a fine striker. She can wrestle and grapple, but she's not amazing there. I just think she's sort of middling, not particularly, massive or physical. And now she's coming in against Michelle Montague, who is going to have a big size advantage. Has fought at featherweight, I believe, before. So, cutting down to a smaller division, whereas Luana Carolina is coming up. So, I think this one is a set-up fight for Michelle Montague to come in the UFC and look pretty good in front of a home sort of territory. I think she gets the fight to the ground, probably takes the back and submits her, as history says. So, yeah, I think Michelle Montague wins by submission.
Yeah, you pretty much covered everything I was going to say. I think Montague will probably get her down. Even if she doesn't look great striking. Like, I know Carolina has some not great attacks, but she's at least diverse in her Muay Thai attacks. And when she's on a roll and in her zone, like she can pile up numbers on significant strikes. But yeah, her going up to bantamweight, where she'll give up some size and physicality, and Montague pretty much being a massive bantamweight who used to fight at featherweight, I think Michelle will get her down, get the back end, tap her out. It might even be quick.
Yeah, on the exact same page there. Was watching Michelle tape and noticed how passionate Kayla Harrison was coaching her. Wonder if that's normal for Kayla to show as a coach, or she sees a bright future, or they could be in bed. No idea on any of the three, but hey, time will tell. But that's good insight. You never know.
I love it.
You never know. But yeah, good to have obviously the ATT camp behind her, and I think she'll fit in the division pretty nicely.
Yep.
All right, up the card to bantamweight male fight. We have Colby Thickness 7-1 taking on Josias Musasa 8-1. Obviously, Musasa coming off the back of one of the all-time fraud checks against Carlos Vera. He's now minus 150. The comeback on Colby Thickness plus 130. Ryan, how do you think this one goes?
Look, this could be a good bounce back spot for Musasa. Like I did like what I saw in his Contender Series fight in terms of explosiveness, physicality, speed, and cardio. And I think once he develops his overall game, like he will be a problem. But he is green, and he's only relying on those attributes, athleticism and power as well. So yeah, on his debut, he was matched up against a grappling specialist, which is why I faded him. Like specifically, took Vera by sub at plus 1100. I just felt all it would take is to get tangled up with Vera before he'd make a low IQ move due to his inexperience. But yeah, Vera got the fight to the ground with a head kick, and with Vera, like when I was doing tape on him, I just didn't see any semblance of having a good striking game. So yeah, very surprising result. Got the rear naked choke. So that fight just showed me, on top of technique and overall process, he definitely still has defensive holes in his game. And it was a cruel early learning curve, so early in his career. And here he does have a chance to show improvements because Kobe Thickness is a guy known for his grappling. He's coming off a loss in debut as well, though it was against Alexandria Superior on short notice, where he was just outgunned. And to be honest, we might have a situation here again where he might be outgunned. Kobe is well-rounded, has a similar record to Musasa, but he's fought better competition than Musasa. Won a championship in Hex, has a pretty extensive amateur career going 8-1, and here he'll at least have the grappling prowess. But I feel there's just too massive a gap in power and speed. Like Thickness he's definitely a slightly cleaner looking striker. He's very loose, moves well, pops off straight shots and kicks from range. Doesn't really have any power or is not really fast twitch, but I think he will be too counterable, like even to the wild swings of Musasa. And he's just not defensively responsible enough for me to think he can avoid absorbing big shots while they're at distance. But yeah, Kobe's work on the feet is just to buy time until he shoots, and he is relentless with his grappling. Like he's a chain wrestler, may not get the first initial takedown, but he'll keep working. And won't it all be deterred if you stuff his takedowns? Like he'll stick to you like glue, look for trips and back takes, and he will get back to the distance striking once separated before looking to grab hold again. And he is very dangerous once he gets you on the ground. Like all his knockouts are by ground and pound. All his subs, pros and amateurs have been by rear naked choke. But yeah, I just think Musasa will bring too much firepower, explosiveness here, and I think Kobe's grinding approach will just not be that effective. Like I think here he can stuff takedowns, sprawl, control against the defense and disengage. And while they're striking, I favor Musasa being able to come forward and land heavy shots, and also being able to eat anything Kobe lands in him. Yeah, I think Musasa will win this fight, but because he's so green, I'm definitely not getting to a bet on him. And yeah, I initially wanted to get on a bet on Thickness, but like I said, there's just too much firepower coming back at someone that is defensively not as responsible and doesn't have power himself. So yeah, the pick is Musasa, but yeah, no action.
Yeah, I'm conflicted about this one too. I think it's confusing for a few reasons, but I could just see it going in a few different ways. Like I wouldn't be shocked if Musasa just came out and just literally raw dogged him through pure physicality and athleticism. Like, thickness is a bit of a pipsqueak, and I think that while he could have success in the wrestling and the grappling just by, constantly being in the face and shooting and just working Musasa, I kind of think Musasa is just going to throw him off at times. Like, he doesn't have the best takedown defense, but he's just so physical and just doesn't stop when you're on top of him. He can just throw you off, get back up. He's kind of like got those Derek Lewis heavyweight tendencies at bantamweight, where he'll literally just stand up sometimes because he's so athletic. And I think he could do that here, because I don't really think thickness is like the most physical or strong bantamweight you're going to get. But at the same time, like, I was kind of impressed with his performance against Taperia. I thought he may get a bit starstruck or blown away in that one, and he didn't. He performed relatively fine. And he is like he is I don't know if he's gritty, but he is just kind of he's just a dog in there. Like, he is kind of hard to get out of there. He doesn't, give up on himself. He keeps working. He's obviously in a good training room with Volk and those guys. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some improvement here. But it really feels like he has to take Musasa late, and that's his real key to victory here. Whereas Musasa can light him up through 15 minutes, stuff takedowns, keep it on the feet, land bigger shots. I think he's got more paths to victory. So again, with you, like, I kind of thought about a thickness play, but there's probably just not enough to get me there at the current time. So I think probably Musasa might edge this one out as well, but it's a pretty low confidence play. I'm pretty happy to pass all around, to be honest.
Yeah.
Alrighty, up the card to lightweight. We have the return of Jamie Mullarkey, 17-8, taking on Rolando Bedoya, 14-4. Both guys had a little bit of time on the sidelines. I'm just checking. I think Mullarkey's been about a year and a half. Last fight was Ruffy in May of 2024. So, yeah, about a year and a couple of months. Bedoya been out since August 2024. So, roughly the same time. Mullarkey getting the hometown spot against Bedoya. Prices, we have Jamie Mullarkey minus 120, Rolando Bedoya plus 100. Interesting fight here. Mullarkey, I think, is fair to say, is the more well-rounded guy all around. He's going to be able to compete in the striking, in my opinion. He's got pretty fast hands. Wrestling's good. He has good timing on his shots. Once he gets the fight to the ground, he's a pretty decent grappler. Got good control. He is a well-rounded guy. There's just the main thing about him is he just can't take punches anymore. That's it. His chin has degraded, unfortunately. His durability has waned. He's only 31. He's coming back after a year off. But I mean, these things don't tend to repair themselves. You know what I mean? Once the chin and the durability is gone, unfortunately, they are just gone for life. They don't suddenly regenerate or ever get better. So it is the main thing you have to worry about with Jamie Mullarkey. And against a fighter like Bedoya, who is pretty durable. Yes, he's limited in his skill set, but he's a good striker. He's hard to get out of there. Throws a hell of a lot of volume. Like, he'll be throwing 150 plus strikes in this fight. And if you give me plus 100, plus 105 price on a guy who's going to throw, upwards of 150 strikes against a guy like Mullarkey who has no durability, I'm probably going to take that bet most of the time. Yes, I think Mullarkey is the better fighter all round. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. But if this spends time on the feet and Bedoya's throwing that normal volume, I think he's got a huge chance to clip Mullarkey at some point and put him down. Mullarkey's been hurt in every single one of his last fights that I can remember. Nasrat, yes. McDessie even hurt him, yes. Muhammad Naimov obviously finished him. Prado hurt him at one point, dropped him. Michael Johnson dropped him so bad. Jalen Turner finished him badly. There's just a lot of names on that record, and a lot of times he's been hurt. And yes, Bedoya isn't the biggest power puncher you're gonna see out there, but he's a good technical boxer. He throws big volume, and he's going to be in there for 15 minutes. So I like Bedoya here. If you give me, let me just check his finish market. Bedoya wins by TKO plus 300. I'll have to have a stab on that. I think Mullarkey's chin is beyond gone at this point. It's just it's a no-brainer. So yeah, I'll have a nibble on Bedoya TKO for me personally.
Yeah, nice breakdown. Yeah, this is a bit of a funny matchup. Is Bedoya is 0-3 in the UFC, proven to be a bit of a flake, and Mullarkey has lost 3 of his last 4 fights with his chin and durability pretty much turned to dust. I've won a bit of money fading Jamie Mullarkey, and I've lost a bit of money backing Rolando Bedoya, thinking he was bound to get his breakout performance. Like he did have a pretty good showing in his UFC debut against Chaos. Showed a very tough chin, good durability, and though very unpolished in his striking ability, showed to be scrappy and had just good volume. And he just never lived up to what I thought he could be. I never thought he was going to be anything special, but maybe he could have been like one of those durable mid tier guys you could take a dog odds to outwork guys who faded late. He lost to Song Kanan in his next fight after Chaos and took some time off, moved down to lightweight, got in incredible shape, and I definitely bought into a successful lightweight run. Maybe he would be rejuvenated and more advantageous at a lower weight, and he was just dominated from the get go by Jai Herbert. Struggled with the speed and movement there, got knocked down, and just didn't find any success on the feet. And well, compared to Bedoya, I think Mullarkey's got more effective striking. He's got heavier hands, heavier and faster hands, and I think Mullarkey can even drop him if he lands flush. And Mullarkey probably even has the grappling upside. We've seen him get his takedowns, rack up control time, and shown to have good takedown defense too if Bedoya shoots, and Bedoya doesn't really have good takedown offense. The issue here is Mullarkey's chin. He has been knocked out in all 4 of his last 4 fights: Ruffy, Nazrat, Naimov, and Turner, all in pretty brutal fashion. And even in each of his wins, he's getting hurt pretty badly. But yeah, taking some time off, maybe that helps the durability, maybe it doesn't. But I think if we dissected those losses, he chose to have a distance striking match with Ruffy. Dumb idea. And he actually took some shots without going out cold. Again, the Nazrat and Naimov knockout losses aren't aging terribly. Like those guys are getting wins, and he faced Jalen Turner when he was at his most dangerous. He did get hurt by McDessie and MJ, but yeah, he did still manage to fight through and squeak out decision wins there. And yeah, last week I saw this at Pick and Mods with odds favoring Bedoya, and honestly, I think if Mullarkey does not get like hit with a big shot, I think he could look minus 200, minus 300 here. Um, Bedoya isn't known for his power. He's only secured 4 knockouts from his 14 wins, mostly through accumulated damage. It's not like he's landing one shot knockout punches. He is pressure heavy and throws with a lot of volume, but I think that makes him way more counterable because he doesn't set things up. He kind of just throws for the sake of throwing something out there. His hands also don't come back to his face. Head doesn't move too much off the center line, and he's very flat footed. And I actually do favor Mullarkey's bobbing and weaving, in and out footwork, and heavy looping attacks too. Like hit the mark more than a few times, and I actually think he might be able to knock out Bedoya. Yeah, on top of that, Mullarkey can lean on his grappling too and just take him down and hold him there. So I know it's going to be weird to say in 2025, but I do have a bet on Mullarkey at minus 108.
Yeah, it's fair. I think that angle is completely fine. Like I'm not afraid to admit he is the better fighter and the more well-rounded fighter for sure. It's just it's a hold your ticket close sort of fight where he can go down at any point. And Cade in the chat is saying Mullarkey chin will be okay. Bedoya pillow fisted, throws these awkward slaps, just going for volume. I 100% agree with that. The issue is Nazrat Hakparast hasn't had a finish in fucking 10 fights in the UFC. Knocks him out round 1 minute in. Francisco Prado, not been a massive finisher in the UFC. Knocks him out pretty quickly. Muhammad Naimov, decent power. John McDessie, again, 0 power and hurt him fucking pretty badly. I don't think you need to have massive power to finish him, to be quite honest. But I understand the point. It feels like UFC is doing Jamie a favour this weekend. They found the worst dude on the roster and sent him to his backyard. Yeah, it could be. It does feel like a winner, loser goes home sort of fight. Like, loser's probably going to get cut in a pick and fight too. Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking Bedoya heads up. I'm going to take his TKO line.
Yeah.
I was just having a look too. Under 2.5 is it's plus money. Like, it's well plus money. It's plus 150.
That's a good look because when Bedoya gets rocked, it's usually early. when Mullarkey gets knocked out, it's usually when he's fresh.
Yeah. Yeah, under 2.5 plus 150, under 1.5 if you're really risky. Looks like it's about plus 280 upwards, somewhere around there. So, a couple of decent ways to play this fight, in my opinion. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Alrighty, up the card to welterweight with our boy Jono Micallef, 8-1, taking on Welsh gangster Oban Elliott, 12-3. Prices we have. Close fight. We've got, it looks like Oban's slight favourite on all books. Only just though, like minus 120-ish area, somewhere around there. Come back on Jono Micallef, plus 105. It's close. There's a few split books, but Oban's slight favourite on most of them. What do you think happens here, Ryan?
Yeah, look, Oban is someone who was unravelled in his last fight against Saki Ko. Maybe it was always a nightmare matchup that we just didn't see coming, but he did look horrible in that fight. Couldn't defend a takedown, showed no ability to get up. On the feet, looked hesitant to engage because of the power coming at him. And yeah, with Oban, he has 5 fights under the UFC banner, and we still don't really know how good this guy is. I do feel like he's one of the guys that is solid enough everywhere and maybe has looked a little better than he really is, but at the same time, not looking good enough. But I'm not going to downplay his skills. He is well-rounded. He strikes well from both stances, works behind a nice jab, always balanced, always in position to counter, has shown good offensive grappling when he sees opportunity, and sometimes he has good takedown defense. Like, if we did ignore that last fight, he defended 8 from 9 takedowns from Preston Parsons, a pretty accomplished wrestler. But but if we do look at his last fight, sometimes he has non-existent takedown defense. Allowed 6 from 9 takedowns against Saki Ko, gave up 10 minutes of control time, and he just looked helpless off his back. Like, even Val Woodburn had 2 takedowns on him a few fights back. But if we look at his wins as well, he beat Basil Hafez, who is a sloppy brawler with power. Preston Parsons, who is a grappler bust, and Val Woodburn, who is a pretty low-level sloppy brawler who is so much shorter than Oban Elliott. And guess what? Woodburn knocked Oban down in the opening round, and Oban resorted to grappling to win the unanimous decision against him. And that's not the only time he's been dropped or hurt in the UFC. In his Contender Series fight, he got dropped badly in the second round, looked absolutely gassed, looked good as God, and just rallied back against a guy who doesn't go deep into fights at all. And on top of that, in the regionals, he was knocked out twice. Here he's up against Jonathan Micallef, who is very green and looks far from a polished product, but I love what I saw in Contender Series and the improvements he showed in his debut. I believe we both took him in his debut against Kevin Jusset, and he looked great. And I think he has the tools to win this fight, and he has more ways to win. First off, Elliott is a guy who tends to skirt around the outside and either darts in with combos or times counters. And if things are going wrong on the feet, he can't resort to grappling because that plays right into Micallef's game. And if Elliott doesn't get a knockout, he'll need to be outstriking Micallef from range for 15 minutes, which will be a tough task. They're both the same height, but Micallef has a 5-inch reach advantage, and
I think that's cap. I think the height's cap. I reckon Micallef has got him. Honestly, I reckon he's got a couple of inches on him.
Yeah, he's definitely a longer fighter. Like
100%. I reckon he's taller too. I don't trust those height stats, to be honest.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, Micallef, he fights in the kickboxing range pretty effectively. Even though he's not really fast and explosive, he has incredible timing, particularly with those body kicks that he just slips in with no telegraph. He has sharp head kicks as well, straight shots down the middle, and these long-range weapons were they're on full display against Kevin Jusset, who he dominated for the opening 2 rounds and even dropped. And I think Oban will struggle early with getting in the pocket and finding his range. He'll be met with kicks on the way in, have to defend kicks and straight shots from distance. Micallef also manages the distance well and is quite good at exiting out of danger. And look, even if they exchange in the pocket, Micallef can scrap there too. And suffice to say, Micallef will have the heavy grappling upside. I've seen him come in with chain wrestling game plans, and he can resort to just pure grappling if things get shaky on the feet. Even if Oban improves his initial takedown defense and is able to keep it standing, Micallef has great clinch work with his elbows, knees, and I do think he'll wear him down against the fence and eventually get a trip, body lock, or a throw. And on the mats, I think he will just have his way with Oban. Like Micallef is just so positionally aware and crafty. He could even get a finish there too. I am worried that Micallef did slow down against Jusei in the third round, and if Oban still has gas in the tank, he can rally. But ultimately, I'm going to take Micallef here, as I think if he hasn't gotten a finish by the third, I think he'd already have banked round 1 and 2, and even has the potential to win the third against the tired Oban, who's just defending takedowns for 2 rounds. So yeah, I've got 1.5 units on Micallef at plus 110.
Very, very nice breakdown there, my friend. I, I, I'm confused by the initial fight. To be quite honest with you, it feels like two guys that they wanted to build around. Two younger guys who have interesting fighting styles, who are have fought a mixed bag of competition and whatnot, and now you get an Oban off a one loss, flying to Australia and fighting this up and coming guy. It's weird matchmaking to me, to be honest. But yeah, on Jono Micallef, I like him as well. Like he's not a fighter that you're going to look at immediately and go, oh, this guy is going to be a world champ. He's made to climb the rankings. But what he does is so effective and so hard to really counter a lot of the time. Like he's got this southpaw stance on the feet, very wide. Yes, he's herky jerky, very awkward style of fighter all around, and I don't think he's particularly fast or quick in terms of his hand speed or really any of his output, but he's just so big and physical that it really does make up for a lot of that. He has some bad defensive tendencies, like he doesn't move his head at all. He doesn't read straight shots very well, in my opinion. He's not very reactive, but he's shown to be extremely tough and extremely durable so far, only, getting finished by Alden Bates in the regional scene, who is a guy that has a lot of power. So it's not a terrible look there, in my opinion. I think he's improving all round. I don't love that sometimes he looks like he wants to rely on his striking ever. But the way that he outstruck Jusei from the outside, I was super impressed by that all round. Like going into that fight, I kind of thought he could do that, but I thought he'd mix in a bit of his wrestling and grappling to do that and make it more effective. He didn't even need it. He really didn't even need it. He just had a rear leg roundhouse kick, some straight lefts down the pipe, and that was it. And that was enough. He was so effective with that, and I think that can happen again here. He's also got good judo throws. He's decent in the clinch. I think he has big upside here if they do clinch. He's going to be the stronger, more powerful guy. I like his chin more, and I think if they go in close, I think he's probably got the upside, in my opinion. He's a little green on the mat in terms of scrambles, but I think he's going to be dangerous if he's on top or if he's on bottom here, so neither's really a bad look. I'd prefer him on top, obviously, but if he does get taken down, I think he has a more dangerous jiu-jitsu game. Onto Oban, orthodox kickboxer, decent striking output. He's usually pretty intelligent and has a good mix of volume, power, and speed. Defensively, he looks like he has some okay head movement and footwork, but he's much more hittable when he's the fighter on the back foot, and I do think he's going to be on the back foot here. I think you have to question his durability at times. He gets hurt by shots. He gets wobbled plenty. He drops his hand when he moves backwards after the first shot or the entry punch from his opponent. So I do think if someone starts with hands and mixes in some body and head kicks, they'll have some success against Oban. Generally, he's able to mix in his wrestling and grappling game at times. I don't really rate it super highly overall, and Ko honestly dominated him with his judo throws and the control on the mat. And Oban had zero to offer off his back. Not a good look, in my opinion. I do think it's a close fight. I kind of think that Oban's speed and footwork will give Jono some issues at times. But I also think Jono can fight from the outside, win this fight. I think he can use his grappling better, his physicality better. So going to my head, I think it's Micallef, to be honest. But it's a close fight. I don't have a bet on anything as of yet, but I'm on the Micallef side.
Nice breakdown.
All right, up the card to middleweight, we have the UFC debut of Rowston, 12-3, another city kickboxing nuffy, taking on Andre Petroski, 13-5. Prices, we have Petroski minus 175, the comeback on Rowston plus 150. Look, I'm not really high on Rowston, to be quite honest. He's the shit lanky striker. He's kind of the CKB runt of the litter, in my opinion. He's a fine striker, but he's nothing special. He can mix in takedowns at times. He can also get out grappled. I'm not really high on this guy overall, to be quite honest. Would I be shocked if Petroski came in here and just dominated him in the wrestling through 15 minutes? No. Rowston has shown some issues with some takedown defense at times, although he does keep working, which could play into his favour. I kind of think if it's Rowston, it's probably round 2 or round 3, I want to say. I feel like he's going down early. Like, as soon as Petroski gets his hands on him, I feel like he's going down. Like, is Petroski as physically strong as Torres Finney? Maybe not, but I do think Petroski's going to have a strength advantage in this one. Is the much better grappler. Rowston has a chance to TKO Petroski. Petroski's chin is just bizarre at this point. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's good. I don't know what it is. It's just Petroski's chin. It just is what it is. But Petroski's does seem to slow down at times in round 2. And then sometimes he gets like this weird regen in round 3 where he does come good again. But Rowston round 2 plus 800, Rowston round 3 plus 1,000. I feel like he's going to get taken down, but he could keep working. And that might gas Petroski. But honestly, I don't have a super strong read on this fight. I'm not high on Rowston as a prospect. I'm not high on Petroski at all. So it's probably just a safe place to pass, to be honest. What do you think?
Look, pre-tape, I leaned the side of Andre Petroski. He is coming off a loss to Edmund where he was just outgunned everywhere, and his grappling was neutralized by the younger and more athletic fighter. Like, I don't think it was the worst look because, we know Petroski is a limited guy, and if anything, he just showed good toughness in there. As he got knocked down and hurt, made it to the final bell. Prior to this loss, he was riding a 3-fight win streak, beat Vieira through his striking, and he just wet blanketed pretty experienced wrestlers in Dylan Woodgar and Josh Fremd. Got a takedown per round and just stayed on top. And as for Cam Rowston, I had a confident bet on him a few weeks ago in Contender Series where he won by a spectacular KO against a more athletic and dangerous guy as a plus 130 underdog. But I definitely can't get the memory of Torres Finney taking him down 10 times and staying on top of him for 12 minutes last year out of my mind. And I bet Petroski and his team in Marquez MMA were licking their lips when they were watching tape and saw how that fight panned out. But man, I don't think this is as simple as Petroski but via WrestleFuck. Because Petroski isn't Torres Finney. Like, he isn't a takedown or bust guy. He will engage in the striking, and in the striking, he's sort of dangerous and all right at times. Like, he can fight from both stances. He mainly just throws hooks and overhand rights. He has a really nice body kick, but if he does connect, he can put you out or like hurt you. But like the fights where he mostly engaged on the feet were against Rodolfo Vieira and Gerald Mearshart, like guys with not much striking upside, and he didn't really dominate those fights. The Vieira fight was close in numbers, and Vieira actually outstruck him just narrowly, with Petroski landing the better shots and just having the better optics as the fight went on, as he stuffed the takedowns. And against Gerald Mearshart, like the fight was razor close. Like, he won by split decision, but he was outstruck 76-57 and absorbed like 65 strikes to the head from Gerald Mearshart, which is not a great look. And as a striker, I think like Rowston is measured enough, he's clinical enough, and has diverse enough kickboxing attacks. Like, he's not one of those simple jab, 1-2 and leg kick kind of guys. Like, he'll throw extended combos high and low, and while he's not amazing, he's definitely unpredictable with his attacks. Like, for as long as they're striking, I think Rowston will have the weapons to just tag him up from all ranges and can find counters to Petroski's best attacks. Like, he'll have answers to Petroski overextending with his swings. I think he will land counter straights when Petroski attempts those naked body kicks that he just throws. And when Petroski closes the distance to get in the clinch, like, Rowston has pretty damaging elbows, as we saw in his last fight, and good knees as well. And I think he will use his height and reach advantage very well to keep Petroski hesitant from distance. The elephant in the room, however, is if he can defend a takedown. And I'll be honest, it's very possible Petroski can just lay and pray in this fight. But I don't know. From what I see on tape, I think Rowston has a good first line of takedown defense, and it usually takes chain wrestling and a bit more effort to get him down. And with Petroski, I think he is good at timing the initial takedown to drive opponents to the ground, but not exactly the best when it comes to second, third, fourth efforts. like if he shoots for the leg and gets denied, he's the type to just disengage right away or just look to clinch, while Torres Fini would just hold on and just like keep going. While while Petroski doesn't gas out, he slows down after the first round. He's a bit more laboured with his striking, more telegraphed with his entries, and just overall less dangerous. Even though that he does tend to get a second win, he's still very laboured in how he moves, and he's just good at just grinding um, towards the distance. And in recent years, if he doesn't get the first round finish, he usually wins by decision, usually having to dig deep. And I think Rowston is a guy who has shown good cardio, fights hard to the final bell, and he has gotten finishes in round 2 and round 3. And even in his losses, he's definitely not giving up. So I do think Rowston has potential to get a finish in the second and third rounds. All up, I just played Cam Rowston at plus 120 like last week. I think he's moved to 150.
Yeah, he's slightly wider.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Rowston gets it done, but wouldn't be surprised if Petroski just takes him down and wet blankets him.
Yeah, I'm with ya. I think it plays out like early. I think Petroski's not going to have any issue taking him down, but I just think Rowston's going to keep working, and I think that'll pay dividends as well. So Rowston round 2, round 3 looks a nice, tasty bet in my opinion.
Definitely.
I'll be on something in that regard. All right. Headline in the prelims, we have light heavyweight fight between Navajo Stirling, Rodolfo Bellato, 12-2-1. Navajo Stirling 7-0. Prices, we have Navajo Stirling minus 235, Rodolfo Bellato plus 200. Ryan, take this one away, my friend.
I think this is a pretty straightforward matchup. I haven't been loving being on the Navajo Stirling side. He can get frustrating to watch as he's a little too patient for my liking, fights the close margins. But yeah, he trusts in his high-level kickboxing process, and he often finds the key moments to bank rounds. I do think it will be due time where he fights someone well-rounded enough that he could potentially be in a situation where he's 2 rounds down, needing a finish in the third, or it's 1-1 going to the third and he's starting to drop off. But I don't think that will be the case here. Bellato has pretty dog shit stand-up. He does have power, but he'll be severely outmatched on the feet. Like, he's too hittable, lacks offense, and I think his only chance is really to take this fight to the ground. And if he can get past the kickboxing and boxing range, I've seen enough of Stirling's grappling ability to sort of give me confidence that he can stuff these takedowns or even work his way back up if he does get taken down. As well as that, Stirling has shown to put in a good 15 minutes, while Bellato gets slower and more sluggish. And I think Stirling will have a measured opening round where not much is happening other than kicks and the odd jab. I eventually see Bellato trying to make something happen for himself and just getting caught by a check hook or like right hand over the top. So I think Navajo Stirling gets a finish here in round 2 and round 3, but I don't know if I'll be playing that because I still have nightmares from another fight where in the distance.
Yeah, remember.
But yeah, I think Navajo Stirling is actually at a nice price here. Parlayable, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, this just has to be the one that Bellato finally just gets nuked. It just has to be. It has to be. The way he just pushes forward and puts himself in harm's way, I think Stirling's going to crack him at some point. He's just way too defensively irresponsible, way too hittable. Chin is not good. Yes, he can rally and somehow keep pushing through, even though he gets knocked out like 3 times in a fight. But I think Navajo is just too clean, too technical with the strikes. I think Bellato's going to try and stay in his face, and I think that's going to be an issue. I think Stirling plus 140, TKO, money for GM. Have to play it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a good prop price. Yeah, I like it. All right, main card time. We have, kicking us off, Tom Nolan, 9-1, taking on Charlie Campbell, 9-2. I mean, don't these two look like potential like brothers in another life?
Yeah, I was thinking that they look similar.
There's like an odd similarity between them both, and it kind of like their fighting style honestly is not too dissimilar either. Like they like to get in brawls, they like to move forward and fight at like this quick pace, quick striking, fast hands. Neither guy has very good defense, I would say. It's a pretty similar matchup, like on both sides, to be quite honest with you. I think look, we haven't seen a lot of either guy like at this point. We've only seen, I think Tom Nolan like 3 or 4 times in the UFC. The last one with the decently dominant win against Slava. Charlie Campbell, we haven't really seen a hell of a lot of. Like that Alex Reyes fight, you kind of can't take anything away from that. The guy came and took after 4 years off, I think it was, into that fight. And then a Trevor Peak decision is. I struggle to take a lot of info from either of these guys, either of these last few fights. Charlie Campbell traveling to Oz, obviously not a great sign, but I don't know. I think he has a better chin than Tom Nolan. I think he's slightly more defensively sound than Tom Nolan, but I don't have a strong read on this fight at all, to be quite honest. I think it's a tricky one to break down. Like, I can see both guys having success in a lot of different areas. I really struggle to pick this fight. I really do. Like, there's not an area that I look at for one guy that I'm like, huge advantage there, or potential for a huge advantage there. I think striking-wise, it's pretty competitive. I think Nolan has like a good front headlock series, but I think Charlie Campbell is like a better pure wrestler. But I don't think there's going to be much of that taking place. So, like, as long as this takes fight on the feet, I think it's like a pick 'em sort of fight. So, maybe slightly lean Tom Nolan just because of, a little bit of length, size. He's fighting at home, maybe. But I really don't have confidence to say much of this fight, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I looked into this fight a fair bit, and I'll still say I don't have the best read on it either.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I do know it will be competitive, and it could very well be a fun one while it lasts. Like they're both streaking. Lightweight, who has bounced back after devastating losses early in their UFC tenure. Like Tom Nolan knocked out pretty badly by Nicholas Moda in his UFC debut. Since has gone on a 3-fight win streak, while Charlie Campbell got knocked out by Chris Duncan in Contender Series, went on to win his next 3 fights, and is now 2-0 in the UFC. If I'm honest, I tend to be more high on Campbell than I am on Nolan. Like even Campbell's loss to Chris Duncan, like he was looking pretty good up to that point, close to getting Chris Duncan out of there before Duncan, of course, found that one-shot knockout on him.
It's still one of the worst losses I reckon I've. Like, if you had a ticket on Charlie Campbell, you'd want to literally hang yourself, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
I just think Tom Nolan is a bit more flawed, but he does seem to be putting it together slowly. Like Nolan is tall for the division, has a long reach, but he definitely doesn't use these advantages to his best ability, as he tends to come forward aggressively, engage in firefights, and often leaves himself open to be hit. He has some of that tall man defense too.
Massively.
Doesn't move his head off the center, and sometimes he's too stiff in the pocket. After the Nicholas Moda knockout loss, he bounced back by finishing Victor Martinez, but that was a fight where he got dropped by Martinez pretty early. And after that, went on to beat Alex Reyes by decision, someone he probably should have finished, and someone Charlie Campbell even got the knockout on when they fought. But I did like what I saw from Nolan against Slava. Like he seemed more clinical from distance, didn't absorb many clean shots to the head, and just put in a mature performance while also still being aggressive. Like I think it was definitely good to see. And if he fights like that and has gotten better, I do like his chances here. But I'm not going to back him as a minus 160, 170 favorite in a fight I cap to be much closer, and he could potentially get knocked out in. Now, Campbell's last fight against Trevor Peak, it did show how effective he was on the back foot against someone looking to crash in the pocket, swinging heavy shots, or grabbing a hold of him. He anti-grappled well, he avoided getting hit cleanly to the head, landed at a 54% clip, fought fire without getting too careless, and had the cardio to maintain this work rate for 15 minutes. But at the end of the day, that was Trevor Peak, he's just there to be hit, and he's like as one-dimensional as it gets. And if I was backing Campbell, I'd want him to take a page out of Trevor Peak's book and just be the aggressor in this fight, get Nolan on the back foot, and bring out his poor defensive tendencies by forcing him into a firefight. And I don't know, I just don't think he fights with that type of aggression. I think Campbell will be happy to skirt along the outside, chip away from distance with kicks, and lunge in with big combos. And while I think he can have a lot of success here because he does have good timing, and I think he can also find a knockout on Tom Nolan. Like I'm still not convinced that chin is any good, but yeah, I don't think this approach translates to winning minutes against a longer guy who has shown to be maturing. So another thing to think about too is that while Nolan is hittable in the pocket, he does great work there in the pocket with elbows and knees as well. Campbell on slightly short notice. I think he had like maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks since Evan Elder was meant to fight Tom Nolan. So Tom Nolan's been preparing this entire time. Campbell only has 4 or 5 weeks notice. Also flying out to Australia. The pick is Nolan for me, like in a close fight. But man, I think there's value on Campbell as an underdog.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't agree. I don't disagree with anything you said. It's a close fight. I probably with you that Campbell. I trust his chin a little bit more in a striking fight. Maybe that's enough. It's a tough one. It's a close one.
Yeah,
I like it though. Should be fun. Should be really fun.
it'll be good to watch.
All right, 2 fat loser heavyweights. Let's get this one done quick. Justin Tafa 7-5. Louie Sutherland 10-3. Ryan, you got anything for me here?
I have no interest in this fight. If I had to favor someone, probably Justin Tafa because of the experience and power. But man, I would not be surprised if Sutherland gets it done. Like Sutherland seems to be all right in all places, but he hasn't fought anyone of note, and I just don't see what I need to see on tape to back him, even as a slight underdog. In saying that, he can kickbox from range. He carries all right power. He's strong. He's built like a power lifter. And one thing he would have upside in is grappling. Tafa sucks on the ground, as we've seen, but I don't know. I just haven't seen enough from Sutherland to think that he's going to come in as a pure wrestling threat. So, yeah, the pick is Tafa, but I don't really care for this fight.
Same page as me. I went into tape hoping that Louie Sutherland was like a bit of a grappler. He's not. He doesn't shoot proactively. He doesn't shoot offensively. He doesn't really grapple. So this is going to be a striking fight between 2 fat losers. One will go down. Who knows? Don't waste your money here. If Sutherland had an inch of grappling threat, I'd play him every day of the week. Haven't seen it. So, unfortunately, stay away, I reckon.
Yeah. I have seen a fight where Sutherland was just on his back and he just stood up.
Yeah, I've seen it too. He literally just gets up. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. That's all. That's the extent of the tape of Sutherland's grappling game. Just stand up. So, yeah, I mean, if you got the balls to take this on, like Tafa's going to be in there just throwing. Sutherland looks like he's just going to be in his face and throwing as well. Not much more to add, to be quite honest. All right, let's keep it moving. We have a welterweight fight between Jake Matthews, 22-7, taking on Neil Magny, 30-14. Prices, we have Jake Matthews -410. Believe that's the biggest favourite on the entire card. Neil Magny +310 underdog. Look, Neil Magny being a value hunter the last couple of fights. Like just you can get him at these big plus price tags and just continually clean up on him. He has to be one of the most valuable fighters in UFC history. Like the amount of times he's an underdog and comes through, it is pretty impressive. In this fight, I like Jake Matthews, to be quite honest. I think on the feet, Neil Magny doesn't offer a whole lot. Like he wants to get in your face, clincher, just make it an ugly fight. But I think on the outside, Jake Matthews has pretty clean boxing. The issue with Matthews is you kind of don't know when he's going to turn up and when he doesn't, because he does tend to shit the bed at times. Maybe that's something that he's working out of his game as he gets older. 31 now. Maybe that's gone. Like we've seen this guy in the UFC since he was like 20. So a lot of time for development. But I think in a striking fight, Matthews is much cleaner. He's much more defensively aware. The calf kick has really just dominated Magny in the last couple of years. Literally, if you have a calf kick, you can just destroy his legs on the feet, and he just has no answer for it. But even if not that, Matthews' boxing is way better. Head and body, yes, Magny's longer, and that might cause Jake some issues, but he is pretty good at getting in the pocket and landing shots and getting out, and is pretty defensively sound. So I like him there. If Magny chooses to clinch, which he most definitely will, I don't think he's going to be landing big shots or anything like that, so he's going to have to really dominate in there. And I kind of think Matthews is potentially the better wrestler and definitely the better grappler. I think if Matthews gets his fight to the ground in advantageous position, if he's on top, I think there's a huge chance that he could submit Magny here. I think he could potentially rear naked choke him. I think he could transition to like an arm triangle and really threaten Magny. Magny's shown a little bit of a weakness there, so I don't hate the Jake Matthews sub look. I kind of think that's a decent angle in this fight. He is a really decent black belt. Matthews by submission. It looks like it's like plus 350, plus 360. It's not a bad price. I think there's a definite path to victory for him there. I think Matthews wins this one. Minus 410 feels like pretty tough to get to outright, but I do think he wins.
Yeah, I agree. Like Magny at dog odds is always tempting,
I know.
especially against someone that's flawed, that he could out veteran. I did pick Magny to win in his last fight against Zaleski dos Santos, where I stupidly played his decision prop instead of straight playing his money line, and it wasn't even that decision prop wasn't even for like as much juice as I would have wanted in playing a prop over a money line. So very disappointed in myself there. Lesson learned. Um, on the other side of that, I faded Jake in his last fight, siding with Cheedy and Jaquani as a slight favorite, like because Matthews has always been a two-step forward, one-step back kind of fighter, and I expected Jake's willingness to abandon grappling and look to purely box to be his downfall against the way taller and longer Muay Thai specialists. But Jake found an early choke. Here he's now on a three-fight win streak, and I expect him to make it four. Now, Magny will have a huge size and reach advantage here, but this isn't new for Jake. Like this is the exact same height and reach that he faced against Cheedy and Phil Rowe. Um, but Magny will be way less of a standing threat as Cheedy, and I honestly think this fight will go exactly the same as his fight with Phil Rowe, but probably inflicting more of a beatdown on Magny. Like sure, Magny can land some solid jabs and distance strikes early, but I don't think he has the ability to maintain this game plan for 3 rounds. And I favor Jake to just wear on him with his constant boxing pressure and being able to land hard combos in the pocket. And if Magny resorted to his usual game plan to cage push and look for the takedown, he's stepping right into where Jake is pretty comfortable. Like I don't think he will ragdoll Magny like in the clinch, but I think Magny will be doing a whole lot of holding, and Jake will be stronger and more imposing in close, landing short shots in the clinch, disengaging, getting elbows in, and I think he might be able to get a trip at some point. And if he gets on top, like you said, I think he has a way to either get a ground and pound stoppage or a sub. So yeah, I think Matthews wins this pretty handily. I will probably look into that submission line too.
Very nice. On the same page there. Love that. All right. I think not the co-main. This is the feature fight of the night. Featherweight fight between Jack Jenkins 13-4 taking on Ramon Taveras 10-3. Obviously, Jenkins coming back after a weird, what was it? It was like a punctured lung, sort of.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was some sort of delayed punctured lung sort of thing where air was going into somewhere it shouldn't have in his chest. So not the greatest sign, but Jenkins minus 280, Taveras plus 240. Ryan, who wins?
I think this is a good bounce back spot for Jack Jenkins. I don't think highly of Ramon Taveras at all, and unless Jack comes in incredibly compromised or gets caught early, I think he's going to get a finish here over Taveras. Like Taveras does, he carries some solid power in both hands, but he stands in the pocket with his hands low, relying on head movement and footwork like he's Floyd Mayweather. But I just don't know where he gets the confidence from, because he gets hit a lot. Like even in regionals, he got hit with shots, and from his 4 fights in the UFC, on average, he absorbs 7.41 strikes per minute while he lands at a 4.62 clip. In his last fight against Davy Grant, he absorbed 55 leg kicks through 3 rounds. 55 leg kicks, as well as getting outlanded 147 to 69 insignificant strikes. I don't know, man. If you're taking 55 leg kicks from David Grant, it's going to take 2 or 3 from Jenkins to just fuck his legs up and compromise him. And once his footwork is neutralized, he'll just be a sitting duck. And Jenkins does have some very good fundamental boxing, loves to rip to the body, come over the top, and enter the body again. And my worry about Jenkins is sometimes he gets overzealous, and that has cost him in the past, and he does get pretty unlucky with in-fight injuries too. But yeah, I think other than Taveras landing a perfect counter while Jack is unloading, I don't see Taveras winning this fight, and I think Jenkins gets him out of there. Like I think Jenkins in the distance at plus 180, plus 190 is a good play.
I'm all over it with you. Completely agree. I think Jenkins has shown that to beat him, you need to grapple with him. You have to. You have to grapple with him at some point. And Taveras doesn't have that in his game whatsoever. Jenkins is the better striker in every single asset. Maybe the only way he's not is like pure raw punching power. I think Taveras probably has him covered there. But other than that, massive leg kicker. He's got that on his side hugely. I think speed in the hands. I think defense. I think versatility. I think combinations. I think output. I think all of it, all is in the favour of Jenkins. He's more intelligent as well with his striking. Like he really does set up shots really, really well. Whereas Taveras is kind of opportunistic, looking for that big shot. I'm with you. I think Jenkins mixes the strikes up all three levels. I think he starts with the legs. I think he starts mixing in the body, and I think he comes over the top, and I think he knocks him out with like a 3-punch combo in the pocket, to be honest. Yeah. I reckon he gets him out of there pretty badly. Yeah, I mean, I normally bank on Jenkins for a finish. Like, I feel like I've been on that a few times in his career and been let down a couple of times. Like, even that Herbert Burns one was like a bit of a scary watch, and that's against Herbert Burns. But Taveras is kind of chinny as well, so I'm not too worried about it here. Like you said, Jenkins ITD is like plus 180, somewhere around there. I almost think Jenkins TKO is like just as good, plus 260. I don't think he's going to submit Taveras here, but maybe if you just want to take a bit of that volatility away, it's the way to do it. But yeah, I think we're on the same page completely with that one.
Love it.
Cone Peasy did so much. I think this is in reference to the Louie Sutherland Tafa fight. Did so much tape on him to find a sub attempt. Tafa tape is painful. Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Right.
That's heavyweight MMA, eh?
Yep.
All right, light heavyweight co-main event of the evening. Jimmy Crute 13-4-2 taking on Ivan Erslan 14-5. Prices we have. Jim Crute minus 185. The comeback on Ivan Erslan plus 160. So it looks like Erslan's taking more and more money as the week goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the dog in this spot, to be quite honest with you. I was hoping you would agree with me because this is one of the easiest clicks on the entire card, to be quite honest with you. Like, Jim Crute at this point is so round one or bust. It's not funny. Like, even that Pragnell fight, it's a bad look, in my opinion. I didn't love it. I haven't loved watching a minute of this guy fight in about 5 years. And I don't think much is going to change here. He slows down after round one badly. He's so hittable. He's so hittable. His chin looks like it's degrading. He has a massive chance to get Ivan Erslan out of there. Like, it's not like Erslan, in round one, I should say. I don't think Erslan is like this world beater. But he's tough. He can take a shot. He can fight through situations. He can, wrestle and grapple if he needs to. I think he has the better gas tank in this fight by a country mile. And unless Jimmy Crute subs him in round one, which there is the potential to do that because Crute is a very, very good grappler and is a bit of a dog in that first round. Like, if he can really hurt some guys badly. If he doesn't, Erslan has the potential to look like minus 200 in round 2 and round 3, in my opinion. So, plus 160 on Erslan. All he has to do is survive 5 minutes. I think it's one of the easiest clicks on the entire card. If you can get to Jimmy Crute at minus 180 and feel good about it, you're a better bloke than me. So, yeah, I think Erslan probably takes him down the stretch and either finishes in round 3 or gets a decision win.
Yep, completely agree. I'm not a believer in Jimmy Crute, never have been. Happy for him that he got his first win in 5 years, but that was against Marcin Pragnell. By the way, I had money on Marcin Pragnell as well. that was a fight he was never going to lose if he came in with grappling on his mind. And he didn't even look good in the grappling. Like, his shots were sloppy. He still looked like the same old Jimmy. I think I learned enough from his prior fight against Rodolfo Bellato where he returned after retiring at age 28. Took time off to get in touch with Jesus and looked to rejuvenate his career, and he didn't look one bit improved. So I wasn't a believer then. I'm still not now. Do I think he should be favored here? Maybe because of the grappling upside. Like, Ivan Erslan is a kickboxer. and he is he is measured from range and carries some solid power, but he did get taken down by Navajo Stirling, a kickboxer, 3 times in his last fight. And my instincts do tell me if Stirling can drag him to the mats 3 times, then Crute should be able to. And on top control, he needs just an opportunity to work towards an arm triangle or Kimura. But on the other side of that, if Jimmy dares to engage on the feet for extended periods of time, I think he can get knocked out.
Yeah.
Jimmy Crute's ability on the feet is limited to him entering the pocket with his head in the middle, hands low, and swinging wide labored shots. And I get it. Erslan is 0-2 in the UFC, but look at the matchups. Like, he hasn't been done any favors. Like, Iwan Kutalaba in his debut arguably had some octagon jitters. Went to a close split decision. He defended 9 takedowns from Kutalaba, got a takedown in control time himself, and then his following fight got Navajo Stirling. And I don't know about you, but rewatching that fight, I know stats tell you otherwise, but it was close-ish going into that third round. Judges each gave him a round in that fight. Erslan was headhunting and had impactful moments, while Stirling, the younger and faster guy, was landing volume at all targets, and he just pulled away within the third with a knockdown, nearly finished him in the end. But yeah, Erslan still hung in there, and up until that point was still fighting hard. And one thing about Jimmy Crute is that in his entire UFC run, which is 11 fights, he has won 1 fight that has escaped the first round, which is Paul Craig, 2018. Other than that, otherwise he's either winning in round 1, he's also losing in round 1 as well, and in fights that get past round 2, he's either going to lose or have a draw. So if we're paying minus 180, minus 200 for Jimmy Crute, it surely means they're expecting an early finish here, because he will definitely not look that price tag from rounds 2 onwards. The fight will look every bit of a pick him into the second, and if it goes into third, I think Erslan will definitely look like he's getting some momentum. So, Erslan just needs to get this fight in the second round, avoid getting taken down early in rounds 2 and 3, and I see him having a good path to victory here. Like, Crute is there to be hit as he doesn't move his head, and he's flat-footed. Crute's striking and grappling will be less of a threat from round 2 onwards, as he'll be significantly slower, more laboured in his movements. He telegraphs everything from a mile away, and yeah, I think Erslan can get the better of the striking for certain while they're fresh, and I think he can maybe defend takedowns early too. And as it gets deep, Erslan is just more poised and technical enough when fatigued. Then I think when it becomes a battle of attrition, Erslan will pull away with it. His back is also against the wall here. If he loses this fight, he'll probably get cut. So I think this is very winnable. I played this last week at plus 160. So I think it got down to like plus 125 at some point, and then went back up to plus 160 like recent days. But yeah, give me Ivan Erslan, my favorite dog of the card.
Wow, we are completely on the same page there. Definitely one of my favourite dogs on this card as well. So there you go. There you go. All right, main event of the evening time. Light heavyweight scrap between Carlos Blackjack Ulberg, 13-1, taking on the dominated Dominick Reyes, 15-4. Prices, we have Ulberg minus 250, Dom Reyes plus 210. Ryan, does Ulberg continue his run to the top, or does the Dominator somehow turn the clock back and get a dub here? Please let us know.
I think the Dominick Reyes redemption narrative will be at the forefront of this matchup and will influence a lot of the takes on this card, on this fight. And look, whether you fall into it or fade it, it's rare you see fighters dig themselves out of a grave the way that Dominick Reyes has. We all thought the knockout loss to Ryan Spann was career done, like over. And look, he's now on a 3-fight win streak, all by knockout. And if he wins this, it's probably a title shot. It's a great story. And given Ulberg's less than impressive past few fights against Jan Blachowicz and Volkan Ozdemir, who were leaps in competitions up, I too would love to see Reyes' redemption arc continue and see him back competing for the belt. Ulberg is high level. He has the ability to get highlight reel knockouts, and he also has the ability to be fucking lackluster and boring. And sometimes it's all good being boring as long as you're winning by wide margins and covering your price tag, but he leaves fights frustratingly close, especially now that he's fighting the top of the division. Like, back when he was fighting low-level guys, he just had the death touch, check left hook. But against Ozdemir, it was a 29-28 fight. Outlanded him 98-96, ripped up my in the distance ticket on Ulberg for that. Was really pissed off. And against Jan Blachowicz, I straight up thought he might have lost that fight. I was ready to rip up my parlays with Ulberg in it. Definitely felt like he got away with murder. I definitely felt like I got away with murder, parlaying him at minus 400 in that fight. But yeah, I think this might be sort of similar to a matchup a few weeks ago, like with Imavov and Baralho. Like Baralho was winning impressively against matchups he was supposed to look good against, and Imavov was winning in small margins, going through adversity and scraping by fights against guys who are up there in the rankings. Like the difference here is that I think they got the price right. Um, as much as I hate having money on Ulberg, I think minus 250, 260 is fine. And this could be a matchup where he can look really good in, like especially through 5 rounds. At the end of the day, Reyes' 3-fight knockout streak were Dustin Jacoby, Anthony Smith, and Nikita Krylov. I know he was the underdog against Jacoby and Krylov, but in hindsight, those were pretty give-me fights for Reyes. And certainly guys Ulberg would toy with. And this will be an orthodox versus southpaw match. Ulberg's check left hook versus Reyes' straight counter left. Both fighters tend to let their opponents lead the dance, which is where they land their knockout counters. Like all of Reyes' knockouts recently, bar the Smith fight, were through guys running straight at him and getting caught with that counter left. And I don't think that's going to happen with Ulberg. Like I do think here it will be a kickboxing fight from distance, chipping away, and both picking their moments to come forward. And I just have to favor the faster, technical, and more defensively responsible guy in Ulberg. If Reyes lands, then he will have the more impactful shots, that's for sure. But I think his success is more reliant on catching opponents rushing in and being in the pocket. And frankly, look, Ulberg will only engage there on his terms. Like he will be happy to glide around the octagon, land volume, get out of range, keep it pretty, keep it clean. And while Ozdemir and Jan Blachowicz did have success against him, I do feel like they are more dynamic than Reyes. Like definitely not powerful or athletic, but I think they have more to offer than just the straight left. So I feel like Ulberg can win this on the scorecards, 49-46, if Reyes' chin holds up. But I also won't rule out Ulberg getting a knockout here and just like making up for the last 2 fights and getting a highlight reel KO. So yeah, I think Ulberg is the pick here. I think at minus 250, minus 260, he's fine as a parlay piece. Yeah.
Great breakdown. I don't have a whole lot to add, to be quite honest with you. I don't believe the hype in, Reyes being back. Have never since, those brutal knockouts. I think it's so hard to come back from something like that. And now he's fighting a guy in Ulberg who is just so big, long, fast, dangerous, can fight on the outside if he needs to. This card's been built around Ulberg, and I think Reyes I don't think he has the ability to like hang in there and make this a gritty fight that you need to against Ulberg. Like Darwin Jung showed that if you make it dirty and gritty and keep coming forward, that you can have some success against Ulberg and wearing him down and whatnot. And that does like kind of concern me the later this fight goes. But I just don't think Reyes has the ability to do that. I don't think he's going to have the mental want to get in there and really make this a dirty, gross pocket boxing fight. And I don't think he has the capability to do that. I think the chin will not hold up against a guy like Ulberg who just cracks. Speed and accuracy kills. He has a lot of precision. And yeah, I think if he doesn't go down TKO, I think he should just dominate most of the striking exchanges, hang on the outside, keep the fight in his area. And I just think he's cleaner at this point. I think his chin will hold up. Yes, the cardio concerns me, but I'm with you. Minus 250 feels fine. Parlayable potentially if you want to take that risk. But yeah, I think Ulberg wins this one.
Love it.
And that is UFC Perth full card breakdown and analysis done and dusted. All right, let's go bottom to top. We'll give you our final picks. We will then come up with a wager-wise pick of the week, and then we'll get the hell out of here. All right. Loma Lukbunmi, Alexa Tainara.
Thaynara.
Yeah, for me too. Brando Perisic taking on Alicia Ellison.
Give me Brando.
Yeah, Brando by knockout. Michelle Montague, Luana Carolina.
Montague, and I might just straight up play her by sub, to be honest.
Yeah, same for me. Win, sub. Colby Thickness, Josias Musasa.
Musasa.
Yeah, it's a pass, but I think maybe Musasa might get him. Jamie Mullarkey, Rolando Bedoya.
Jamie Mullarkey.
Yeah, I think I'll have a nibble on the Bedoya TKO line, but don't hate any Mullarkey plays there. Jono Micallef, Oban Elliott.
Jonathan Micallef.
Yep, Micallef for me too. Cam Rowston and Andre Petroski.
The Battle Giraffe, Cam Rowston for me.
Yeah, I think I'll play Rowston 2-3 to be honest. Navajo Stirling, Rodolfo Bellato.
Navajo.
Yeah, Navajo TKO. Tom Nolan, Charlie Campbell.
Oh, Charlie Campbell, but purely because he's the dog in a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, a big pass for me. Got no side. Justin Tafa, Louie Sutherland.
Tafa.
Who gives a shit? No idea there. Jake Matthews, Neil Magny.
Jake Matthews.
Yeah, I like Jake Matthews. I think I'll have a nibble on his subline too. Jack Jenkins, Ramon Taveras.
Farjack.
Farjack for me too. Probably TKO. Jim Crute, Ivan Erslan.
Ivan Erslan.
Yep, for me as well. And Carlos Ulberg, Dom Reyes.
Carlos Ulberg.
Yeah, Black Jag. All right, wager-wise pick of the week. We definitely both liked him, for sure. We both liked Jack. Anything that comes to mind for you immediately?
Either Erslan moneyline, Jack KO, Montague sub.
Yeah. Okay, I reckon we got a few options. Maybe we'll save that for a Twitter post. We'll discuss in the DMs and then we'll post on your Twitter the final option.
Love it.
All right. That has been another episode of the Wager Wise podcast, episode 35. What do we got next week?
Next week, I think we got Ankalaev versus Pereira.
Ooh, are we back to pay-per-view?
Yes, sir. That'll be fun.
It is, yeah. UFC 320. Very keen for that one. As always, if you want to follow Ryan on Twitter at Desperate Times with a Z1. If you want to follow me at Dribble Sport or at Provide Picks, whichever you prefer. Other than that, it's been another fun episode. We will keep these going. Like, comment, share.